Okay, this is going to be a brief recap of day one. Galvanic Arrow is so good that it really screwed me up. And the reason for that is very simple. The new mastery, right? So if we go to the passives, there's a new mastery that's... Oh, let me move this up a little bit. Increases and reductions to projectile speed also apply to damage with bows. Seems pretty neat. If you grab this Master Fletcher, which was what I did initially, you get 20% increased projectile speed, which becomes 20% damage. So this is 15% attack speed, 20% increased accuracy, 20% increased damage. But if you use Galvanic Arrow, it's also 20% increased area of effect. Over here, this is 30% increased projectile speed, which means 30% increased area of effect, which is really good. And 30% increased damage, which is really good. And then if you stand far away, which you can start to do now, by the way, because your area of effect is pretty nutty, that's 60% increased damage with hits on your projectiles, which only affect half your hits, not all of your hits. So that's only 30%. So this node only gives you like an effect of 60% increased damage, not 90% increased damage. This is just 60% increased damage and 30% increased area of effect, which is bonkers. And this really screwed me up. And the reason for that is that in Act 1, we had a Krui ward drop. It's a perfect roll with 30 strength, 100 accuracy, 30% projectile speed, which becomes 30% increased area of effect, 10% movement speed, and 30% increased projectile damage. Well, the 30% projectile speed also becomes 30% damage. This is some strength, some accuracy, 30% AoE, 10% movement speed, 60% damage. And some stats. That's bonkers. The new Quiver base, 30% projectile speed. Bonkers. This is 30% AoE and 30% increased damage. Right, so on my crap build, like we get... you can't see my fingers on the screen. We cover most of the screen top to bottom. If we go left to right, you start seeing some of these things still getting into the weeds here. It's pretty hard to figure out exactly what the AoE is, but we pretty much have screen-wide coverage. Well, you know, only in this particular quarter of a screen. So there's also apparently a new stat called increased angle. Guess how dumb that's gonna be on this. Yeah, this is way too good. So how did this mess me up? Well, I used the bow from Act 2 up until Act 7. I used my boots from Act 1 up until Act 7. I think my gloves were equally trash. I really just messed myself up with that. This is not the bow I used. Did I put it in here? Nope. So yeah, because I kept reusing the same bow for so long, I ended up really messing myself up, and I ended up being super undergeared. My stats weren't maxed because everything got blown up as soon as it entered the screen. I found a Thief's Torment, which also messed me up. But yeah, now I'm to the point where life is a little bit more evened out. I spent 1 C on a very well rolled Malachi's Awakening, which got a really nice boost. My passive tree became an abomination because I decided, well, I may as well go cast on crit right away. Just look at this beautiful fixing of intelligence. Because, I mean, I'm blowing everything up anyway. So let's take a quick look at what the damage looks like. We'll just remove Spark. And we're gonna go to Act 10. We just started Act 10. So this is gonna be pretty sad damage, right? Because this is effectively almost no bow damage nodes. So this is awful damage. Like this is running cast on crit, which does nothing. We can just remove this. Barrage support, increase critical strikes. Here, let's remove all that. Let's just go on a 2-link and see what it looks like. On 2-link you start to see like, okay, it's the damage isn't there, mainly because we have, well, 2-link, and we're trying to do the cast on critical shenanigans. But just the AoE you get on it is bonkers, and you can probably kill Katafa with this. This is so stupid. So if I add 4 more supports, let's not die. A bit squishy, especially when I don't have my stuff equipped. Okay, awesome. Adding 4 more supports. Now we have these sparks flying all around. Now we can talk about why are we using spark. Should you be doing this? No, you should be going for like the silly memes around flash charges on being hit stuff, and that will do you much better. But yeah, from a leveling perspective, this is fine. You can see that these sparks move pretty quick, and the way that we're getting our damage out of our spark is because of 2 things. 1, projectile speed. Because the projectiles move very fast, they cover a large amount of area. Because they cover a large amount of area, the window between 2 hits from a single spark is just much smaller. Is more efficient. It's not smaller. You need cooldown reduction for that, I think. Because the after somebody is able to be hit by an additional spark, the time it takes for that additional spark to find them is just very low. The other thing is that because of where we are on the tree, we have increased duration. So spark does the same amount of damage as a fireball, with the assumption that your spark hits a single target twice. I think that we're probably at hitting a single target 4 times. Because we are at hitting a single target 4 times, we do double the damage of a fireball. And I think that the average damage we get from our helmet is like insane. What are these guys? Oh, resist elemental damage, that's why. You do have to worry about proxy bubbles. Proxy bubbles are bad. Especially because you're just further away now. And you can see that you have sparks everywhere. Anyway, I'm distracted. So let's take a quick look at this spark setup and why this makes sense. We pick up exceptional performance, which means we have 45% increased skill facturation. A spark lasts 2 seconds, so now we have 2.9 seconds duration. A spark can re-hit the same target in 0.66 seconds, I believe, something like that. Which means that you hit it once, you have to wait 0.66, you hit it again, you have to wait 0.66, you hit it again. So by increasing the duration against single target, we actually ramp kind of like a poison build. Because all these spark casts that are out there just keep hanging out there and hitting them over and over and over again. The way we also support that is with piercing from the spark projectiles, which is awesome. And then the speed of the spark projectiles, of course, means that as soon as they're eligible to be hit, the odds of them hitting them just go up because it's faster. And then we just use Galvanic Arrow with a barrage to trigger our cast on crits. There's some cooldown calculations in there, which I'll cover in a separate video because that takes a bit more effort. But this is me in Act 10. The tree is an abomination. But Galvanic Arrow, I mean, it carries this abomination, which is kind of disgusting. Yeah. So what should you be doing? I don't know. Pick up Master Fletcher. I'm tempted to go for evasion converted to armor. There's part of me that just says reroll. You'll be back where you're at in a couple of minutes, and keep this abomination for a later date. Look over the gear. Crit bow. It's a pretty good crit bow. I mean, the DPS you can get on a bow now is bonkers. Floor ring. Fixes some int, which is really important for my idiot character. Damage gloves with life gain on kill. And chance to suppress spell damage. I mean, damage isn't my limiting factor. This could be something with life resist. This actually has life and some resist. Crafted movement speed. Classy. Picked this up for 5C because I wanted to pick up one of these bases, and then I looked at it and was like, wow, this is way better than my current belt. Let's just wear it. A floor. The 30% increased projectile speed is just nuts. Floor. Level 5. Yeah. This is like an endgame unique. Tabula, you don't need it. I mean, you saw that a 2-link, even with the scuff tree, it's playable. If you do the conversion and you take Trinity, then a 3-link will carry you through the act quickly. And this is just because it fixes my mana, and I figured that now's the best time to buy it, because in a couple of days nobody is going to bother to respond to a trade request on an item like this. So that's why I bought this early. That's why I bought this early. Yeah. It's dumb. On the other hand, feel pretty good if anybody actually followed the advice. Unlike me, on the Spark build, I'm sure that they're already in maps and having a good time. I definitely did not follow my own advice, and it was just going so smooth that I started playing like an idiot and tried to convert into a cast on crit build way before I should have. So yeah, whoopsies.